I still remember the exact moment my life shattered. I had just walked through the front door wearing my army dress uniform, carrying my 1-year-old daughter, Lily, after weeks of exhausting duty. Instead of smiles and hugs, I found my husband, Ethan, standing in the middle of the living room surrounded by his entire family. The silence felt heavy, almost rehearsed. Without saying hello, he tossed a DNA report onto the coffee table and looked me straight in the eyes. His voice was cold enough to make my heart stop. He said Lily was not his daughter and accused me of destroying our marriage. Before I could even process those words, his mother pointed at the front door and screamed that I had no place in her home. At that moment, I realized I was standing in the middle of a trial where everyone had already decided I was guilty. Only a few hours earlier, everything had felt completely different. I had finished paperwork at Fort Liberty and picked Lily up from daycare. She smiled the moment she saw me, wrapped her tiny arms around my neck, and filled the car with happy little laughs all the way home. On the drive, Ethan had texted me, saying his mother had planned a surprise dinner to celebrate my return. After months of distance between us, I believed things were finally getting better. I imagined a warm meal, family conversations, and maybe even a chance to repair our struggling marriage. Looking back now, I realize that every happy thought I had during that drive only made the betrayal waiting for me hurt even more. The house was full when I arrived. Every chair in the living room was occupied by one of Ethan's family members. No one smiled when I entered. No one welcomed me home. They simply stared as though they had been waiting for me to confess to a crime. Ethan picked up the envelope again and repeated his accusation while his mother demanded that I leave immediately. I kept asking what was happening because none of it made any sense. I had never been unfaithful. I had spent every day balancing military service with my responsibilities as a wife and mother. Yet every word that came out of my mouth was ignored as if my side of the story no longer mattered. Just as I turned toward the door, it suddenly opened. Everyone froze when Lieutenant General Nathan Brooks stepped inside wearing his full Army service uniform. He had come to personally congratulate me on outstanding performance during my recent assignment, but instead he walked into complete chaos. He quietly looked around the room before asking if everything was all right. No one answered. Ethan nervously claimed it was only a private family matter, but the general noticed the paper lying on the table and politely asked to see it. After reading the report from beginning to end, he calmly asked several questions that immediately changed the atmosphere. Had I agreed to the DNA test? Was the sample collected legally? Was the laboratory accredited? Ethan struggled to answer even the simplest questions, and within minutes, the confidence he had shown earlier completely disappeared. The general finally placed the report back on the table and explained that the document proved absolutely nothing because there was no verified chain of evidence. He reminded everyone that accusations without facts destroy innocent people. His words filled the room with an uncomfortable silence as several relatives lowered their heads in embarrassment. Then he turned toward me and quietly said, "I should leave with my daughter until the truth could be established." For the first time that night, someone believed me. Those few words gave me enough strength to walk away without looking back. Outside, I could barely fasten Lily into her car seat because my hands would not stop shaking. The general handed me the contact information of an experienced attorney and told me not to waste my energy arguing with people who had already judged me. He said real evidence would speak much louder than anger ever could. I thanked him through tears and drove straight to my closest friend, Ava, another Army officer who welcomed us without asking a single question. That night, while Lily slept peacefully beside me, my phone filled with angry calls and messages from Ethan demanding that I return home. I ignored every one of them because deep inside, I knew something about that night felt planned, and I was determined to uncover the truth before saying another word. The next morning, I returned to the house while I knew Ethan would be at work. My only plan was to collect some clothes for Lily and a few personal belongings before finding a permanent place to stay. The house was quiet, and I moved through the bedrooms as quickly as possible. As I packed a small suitcase, I noticed Ethan's laptop sitting open on the desk. I had no interest in invading his privacy, but before I turned away, a notification appeared on the screen. The message was from a woman named Madison, and the first sentence instantly made my blood run cold. It said everything happened exactly as they had planned and that I would never recover from what they had done. My military training taught me to stay calm under pressure, So instead of reacting emotionally, I carefully photographed every message with my phone. The conversation revealed a heartbreaking truth. Ethan and Madison had spent weeks planning the fake DNA accusation before I even came home. They discussed embarrassing me in front of his family, forcing me out of the house, and making sure I never fought back. As I kept reading, another discovery shocked me even more. Thousands of dollars had quietly disappeared from our joint savings account over several months. Money we had saved for our daughters. Future had been transferred into a hidden bank account I never knew existed. Before I could gather my thoughts, I heard a car pull into the driveway. I quickly emailed every photograph to myself, closed the laptop exactly the way I found it, grabbed Lily's things, and walked downstairs just as Ethan's mother stepped through the front door. She tried to insult me again, but this time I simply smiled and left, without saying another word because I finally knew the truth was on my side. That same afternoon, I met with attorney Rebecca Collins, a lawyer experienced in military family cases. She carefully reviewed every screenshot and financial record before quietly telling me this was much bigger than a fake DNA report. Ethan had likely committed financial fraud while planning a dishonest divorce. She instructed me not to contact him or argue with anyone because people who build lies often destroy themselves trying to protect them. Over the following days, she uncovered even more evidence, including proof that the laboratory listed on the DNA report was not properly accredited and that Ethan had secretly consulted a divorce lawyer weeks before accusing me. Every new discovery confirmed that none of this had happened by accident. A court-approved DNA test was finally ordered. Unlike the fake report, every sample was collected under strict supervision and documented from beginning to end. 3 days later, Rebecca opened the official results in front of me. Lily was confirmed to be Ethan's daughter with virtually complete certainty. I cried not because I had ever doubted my child, but because the truth was finally impossible to deny. Ethan received the same report, yet instead of apologizing, he insisted the laboratory had somehow made a mistake. By then, several members of his family had already learned the truth. One after another, relatives called to apologize for believing the lies without asking a single question. Their words could never erase the humiliation I had experienced, but they reminded me that truth eventually reaches people willing to face it. The divorce hearing took place a few months later. Rebecca calmly presented every piece of evidence, including the fake DNA scheme, the hidden bank account, the financial transfers, and the messages proving everything had been planned long before I returned home. The judge carefully reviewed the documents before ruling in my favor. I was awarded primary custody of Lily. Ethan was ordered to repay the stolen savings and legal expenses, and the fake DNA accusation became part of the official court record. As we left the courthouse, Ethan quietly asked if I really believed I had won. I looked at my sleeping daughter and realized the answer had nothing to do with revenge. I told him this was never about winning. It was about protecting the only person who had been truly innocent from the beginning. Nearly a year has passed since that unforgettable night. I earned a promotion in the Army, built a peaceful life with Lily, and learned that real strength does not come from proving someone wrong. It comes from refusing to let their lies change who you are. Some of Ethan's family eventually earned a place back in our lives through sincere apologies and changed behavior, while others remained only memories. Looking back now, I no longer remember that evening as the day everything fell apart. I remember it as the day the truth quietly began rebuilding my future. If this experience taught me anything, it is that lies can be loud for a while, but truth is patient. In the end, truth always has the final word.